one of the greatest poems in the Romantic period, written by William Wordsworth, and it is really, as you know, Wordsworth is looked upon as the poet of nature, as the quintessential poet of nature. প্রকৃতির কবি হিসেবে তাকে বলা হয়. So here you will find, I will share the screen with you, the poem, so that you can have a look. So this is our poem. Now, as you can see, this poem has quite a long title. The full title of this poem is Lines Composed a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey on Revisiting the Banks of the Wye During a Tour, July 13, 1798. So, this poem was composed on 13th July 1798, and Wordsworth here says that this poem actually was he has composed this poem uh, on his second visit. This is his second visit to the banks of this river Wye, and this is Tintern Abbey is actually a ruined abbey, an abandoned and ruined abbey, and he had visited for the first time this abbey and this locality in the year 1793. So 5 years earlier, 5 বছর আগে উনি এখানে এসেছিলেন. এবারে সেকেন্ড ভিজিটের পর he is writing this poem. So this is clear from the word revisiting. এই যে ওয়ার্ডটা রয়েছে revisiting, this is clear. So এটা সেকেন্ড ভিজিট, not the first visit. কিন্তু এখানে একটা ব্যাপার আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে প্রথমবার তিনি যখন এসেছিলেন এইখানে এই টিন্টার্ন অ্যাবের এই এলাকাটাতে, তখন কিন্তু তিনি একা এসেছিলেন. বাট নাও হি ইজ নট অ্যালোন. এখন কিন্তু কবি একা নন, এবং তার সঙ্গে একজন আছেন. সেটা কে আমরা পরে উই উইল কাম টু নো. তোমরা যদি কবিতাটা পড়ে থাকো, অবভিয়াসলি ইউ উইল নো হু ইজ দিস পারসন. স্ক্রিনশট নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছি, কিন্তু ইট ইজ যাই হোক, ঠিক আছে. ওকে, লেট আস মুভ অন টু দ্য poem itself and read the poem. So 5 years have passed, 5 summers. Just one moment. Yes. একটু okay. Let me start again. So let us look at this poem. 5 years have passed, 5 summers with the length of 5 long winters. So Wordsworth is talking about, at the beginning of this poem, শুরুতে কি বলছেন যে 5 years have passed. So from the time of his first visit, that was in 1793, তার থেকে 5 বছর গেলে কি হয়? 1798. The date is here. He has given the date when he has composed this poem. 5 summers, 5টা সামার কেটে গেছে, with the length of 5 long winters. So look at the description. 5 long winters. উনি কিন্তু বলেননি 5 long summers. 5 long winters. So it means that the poet was impatient. He was not at all in a very joyful mood during these long winters. He had to cope with the cold and, very uncomfortable winters. And again I hear these waters rolling from their mountain springs with a soft inland murmur. So here we get the first description, the first image. This is an auditory image. এটা আমরা কানে শুনছি. We are hearing, like Wordsworth. Wordsworth has described this in terms of an auditory image, একটা কানে শোনার imagery. These waters, কি শুনছেন? The sound, the rolling sound of these mountain springs, the ঝর্ণা পাহাড়ের উপর থেকে ঝরছে, with a soft inland murmur. So it is a kind of a very soft, beautiful sound of the spring that is descending from the mountain, nearby mountains. Once again, there is this dash here, as you can see. It denotes a kind of a pause. So as if the poet is thinking, the poet has come back to London or to his native place, and he is thinking of those times when he had visited the Wye Valley for the second time. Tintern Abbey যখন দ্বিতীয়বার উনি ভিজিট করেছিলেন, এবং এটা হচ্ছে একটা পজ. It is a kind of a reflection that Wordsworth is having. Once again, do I behold these steep and lofty cliffs. So once again, with the mind's eye, or rather, he is there. He is standing there in the Wye Valley and he's looking at his surroundings. চারপাশের দিকে দেখছেন, এবং সেখানে কি রয়েছে? সেখানে একটা জিনিস রয়েছে, সেটা হচ্ছে the steep and lofty cliffs, small hills or mountains, cliffs, very steep and lofty, very high, that on a wild secluded scene impress thoughts of more deep seclusion. So this particular area or locality is a very lonely kind of area, wild and secluded. Wild because it is full of vegetation, big trees, and it is very calm and kind of a calm and quiet place. Secluded meaning it is cut off from the human habitation. So when Wordsworth is standing there, he is looking around him, he sees this place. এই জায়গাটা দেখে তার কি মনে হচ্ছে? What kind of impression he is having? Thoughts of more deep seclusion. So a kind of secluded feeling that he is cut off from human habitation. He is cut off from humanity in this nature, in the midst of nature, natural world. এটা মনে হচ্ছে তার আরো বেশি করে. And connect landscape with the quiet of the sky. So this area, the landscape or the beauty of the place, it is connecting itself with the sky above. একটা সংযুক্তিকরণ যেন হচ্ছে. So the quiet, beautiful nature that is to be seen here. There is a kind of a connection between the landscape below and the sky above. So here Wordsworth is really in a very joyful mood. He is again experiencing for the second time, দ্বিতীয়বারের জন্য, এই সিনারিটা যেটা উনি 5 বছর আগে দেখেছিলেন, এবং ওনার আনন্দটা আমরা বুঝতে পারছি যে 5 years have passed, 5 summers with the length of 5 long winter. মানে he had been waiting to come here. এটা বোঝা যাচ্ছে, মানে খুব impatiently he had been waiting. এবারে দেখো, the day is come when I again repose here under this dark sycamore and view these plots of cottage ground. So the day is come. So finally for the poet, that day has come. তার এতদিনের মানে যে ইচ্ছেটা, যে দ্বিতীয়বার তিনি আসবেন এখানে, he will be visiting this place for the second time. So that wish has been fulfilled. So when I again repose মানে take rest here under this dark sycamore. The sycamore is a kind of a big tree, and it is dark in the sense because of the many branches filled with the leaves of the trees. একটা dark shady place. It's a dark shady place under the tree, and it is an ideal place for taking rest or sleeping at the foot of the tree. So Wordsworth, when he had come here for the very first time, he had rested under this tree and view কি দেখছেন these plots of cottage ground, these orchard tufts. So plots of cottage ground, এখান থেকে তিনি একটা দৃশ্য দেখতে পাচ্ছেন। এগুলো হচ্ছে a little below, a little farther off, some cottages of the villagers, people who live in this area. Wordsworth can see the cottages and the orchard tufts. Orchard is a fruit garden, a garden which has a number of fruit trees, ফলের বাগান. So orchard tufts meaning the you can say the kind of a topmost rows of trees এরকম হতে পারে, which at this season with their unripe fruits are clad in one green hue and lose themselves mid groves and copses. So what is the picture that meets his eye? তিনি এখন কি দেখছেন? তিনি দেখছেন এই দূরে কিছু কটেজ রয়েছে, কিছু ফলের বাগান, গাছগুলোকে দেখছেন। But at this season, at the time when he is revisiting this place, it is not the time for the fruits to ripen. এই গাছগুলোতে, ফলের গাছগুলোতে কিন্তু ফ্রুট হয়েছে, কিন্তু সেগুলো সবুজ. These have not ripened. So they are not yellow or orangish like that when fruits ripen. So they are unripe, and the color of the unripe fruits are green, as we know. So are clad as if they are wearing a kind of a dress in one green hue. Hue means color. And lose themselves mid groves and copses. So groves and copses, of course, the nearby vegetation. The nearby vegetation. ছোট ছোট ঝোপঝাড় আর কি। Once again, এবারে দেখো বারবার করে এখানে you will find this emphasis on this fact of this revisiting, this fact of revisiting. Once again, বলছেন আবার, once again I see these hedgerows, hardly hedgerows, little lines of sporty wood run wild. So he again looks at the familiar hedgerows which he had seen 5 years earlier. Hedgerows এগুলো আর কি ওই বেড়া টাইপের ছোট ছোট হেজ গাছপালা হয়েছে। Hardly hedgerows, these can hardly be called hedgerows. Little lines of sporty wood run wild. So these have not been taken care of by the farmers, but they have grown by themselves. Sportive, meaning the vegetation here has grown by themselves. It has not been cut off or taken care of, made into any kind of design by these villagers or people who live there. Sportive, it's a kind of a joyful, how the bushes or the small trees have grown. They are running wild with glee, with joy. So no one is there to control their growth. That is the idea. These pastoral farms. So pastoral means obviously a kind of, you can say, concerns the rural area, the farms which are there, where these people live, some of the villagers, green to the very door. So these little bushes, shrubs, or little trees, little vines, they have grown and they have covered the doors. So the doors appear to be green in color because they are covered by these vegetation. And wreaths of smoke sent up in silence from among the trees So the villagers who live there, লোকজন যারা এখানে রয়েছে, they are obviously they are living in those cottages. So the wreaths of smoke বেরিয়ে আসছে from the chimneys, sent up in silence from among the trees. From among the trees, the cottages can be seen, and the smoke can be seen, which is the smoke is going up with some uncertain notice, as might seem of vagrant dwellers in the houseless woods. Now, the poet is talking of some vagrant dwellers. Vagrant, actually, this term means people who do not have a fixed kind of a place to live in. ভবঘুরে type আর কি, who are moving about from one place to another, vagrant. So, nomadic in that sense. In the woods, there are no houses. So, in the farms, of course, there are houses where the villagers live, but in the woods, there are no houses, or of some hermit's cave, where by his fire the hermit sits alone. So, about these wreaths of smoke, the smoke that is spiraling up, it can come from the dwelling places in the villages, or it can come from some vagrant dweller, some person who has made a fire in the woods, uh, and he's trying to keep himself warm by making this fire. And it can also come from maybe from some hermit, that is a kind of a person who is a religious recluse, meaning he has abandoned the society, and he has chosen to avoid society and is living in a cave all by himself. So he has made this fire, and he is sitting in a cave. So the wreaths of smoke that the poet can see from this distance can come from either of these three sources. That is what the poet is saying. So this is the first stanza. So as you can see here, there is this emphasis here on the word once again, once more, like that, once again. So the fact that this is a revisit, this is a second visit. And why is this important, this second visit? We will know after finishing this poem. So I hope that the first stanza here, it is clear to you. The poem so far is clear. Now we will move on to the second stanza here. So let us see what Wordsworth is saying in the second stanza. Okay, so these beauteous forms, through a long absence, have not been to me as is a landscape to a blind man's eye. So these beauteous forms, meaning the surrounding beautiful landscape, the beauteous nature that he sees before him, through a long absence. So what was the long absence? এই 5 বছর, from 1793 to 1798. So these 5 years that had been the long absence. What is the poet saying here? Have not been to me as is a landscape to a blind man's eye. So he has not been blind. He has not been someone who has not been able to notice the beauty of this landscape, and he has not been someone who has not been influenced by the beauty of this landscape. So he has not been blind in the sense that he has not been insensitive to the beauty of nature, to this place. But oft in lonely rooms, look at the adjectives here, lonely rooms amid the din of towns and cities, I have owed to them in hours of, sorry, in hours of weariness, sensations sweet. So often, oft meaning often, in lonely rooms when he had been alone in uh, in his residence, and mid meaning amid, in the middle of the din of towns and cities, meaning the town, the sound, the noise of towns and cities where he had been living, I have owed to them. So he is indebted to them. এই যে দৃশ্য, এই যেটা উনি 1793 সালে দেখেছিলেন, এটা এই 5 বছর ধরে উনি তার মনের মধ্যে নিয়ে বেরিয়েছেন। I have owed to them. In hours of weariness, sensations sweet. So when he was weary with life, when he was feeling depressed, sad, these sensations were the sweet sensations have he had felt these, felt in the blood and felt along the heart, felt in the blood and felt along the heart, and passing even into my purer mind with tranquil restoration. So obviously, what had happened during this long absence, he had been sitting in his room, and he had been in a very sad kind of a state. Now, suddenly, he remembers these sceneries, these beautiful scenes, and as if uh, this scene has kind of gone into his blood, রক্তের সঙ্গে যেন মিশে গেছে, felt in the blood, the অনুভূতিটা, those sensations that has entered his blood. So the his bloodstream is carrying the feelings and emotions that he had experienced 5 years back, and felt along the heart, the pumping of the heart. It is pumping those feelings and sensations to his brain and passing even into my purer mind. So the purer portion, the beautiful natural scenery that is passing into his mind with tranquil restoration. So his state of mind, which was very restless, অস্থির একটা অবস্থা এবং মনের মধ্যে একটা দুঃখ বা কষ্ট, because he was cut off from nature, or for because of some other reasons. So tranquil restoration is important. This particular phrase, tranquil, means something which is very calm and quiet. It is a serene kind of a influence. This landscape, beautiful picture of this landscape, it has restored his mind from this restless state, sad state, to a very calm and quiet and joyful existence. Feelings too of unremembered pleasure. So unremembered pleasure, meaning he had been here in 1793, and he had experienced a whole new kind of natural beauty. And after the passage of 5 years, he does not remember everything clearly, which is very common. কোনো একটা জায়গায় কেউ যদি যায় 5 বছর পরে, তার খুঁটিনাটি মনে থাকাটা অবশ্যই সম্ভব নয়। সো হি ইজ সেইং হিয়ার আনরিমেম্বার্ড প্লেজার, যে জিনিসগুলো তার মনে নেই কিন্তু সেগুলো তার মাথার মধ্যে, হৃদয়ের মধ্যে রয়েছে। ওই যে felt in the blood and felt along the heart, which is saying here 2 lines before. So unremembered pleasure. uh, that is there, but that is creating a kind of pleasure in his mind, such perhaps as have no slight or trivial influence on that best portion of a good man's life. So he's saying that these experiences or feelings, they would have very slight or trivial influence, খুব নগণ্য influence থাকবে কোথায়, on that best portion of a good man's life. So a person who is good at heart, perhaps he would not remember these trivial experiences. His little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. So, what acts of kindness had he performed? Acts of love had he performed for his fellow human beings? So, little nameless, which have been forgotten now, not remembered, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. Nor less, I trust, to them I may have owed another gift. So he's saying that I believe, I trust that I owe to them another gift. I am indebted to them for another gift, that is indebted to whom? Indebted to nature, the Wye Valley, the Tintern Abbey, that is this place in Tintern Abbey. So he is indebted to that particular place. What is he saying here? What he is indebted about? And what is this another gift? আরেকটা gift, এটা কি? Of aspect more sublime, that blessed mood in which the burden of the mystery, in which the heavy and the weary weight of all this unintelligible world is lightened. So these are the, you also have in your syllabus, তোমাদের সিলেবাসে আছে, এটা আমি পড়াবো, preface to the lyrical ballads. এবার এই প্রিফেসে when you were in semester 1, তোমাদের মনে আছে কিনা জানি না, you had history of English poetry, romantic poetryটা বোধহয় আমি পড়িয়েছিলাম, এবং এখানে I had talked about the preface to the lyrical ballads which is a landmark in the history of romantic poetry, published in the year 1798 by Coleridge and Wordsworth jointly. এবং এখানে একটা প্রিফেস ছিল, যেটা উনি 1798, 1802, আমরা 1800 edition of the lyrical ballads preface we will be reading. And here, if you remember, Wordsworth had explained his theory of poetry. তার পোয়েট্রি সম্বন্ধে যে থিওরি, সেটা সম্বন্ধে তিনি বলেছিলেন। এইবারে দেখো এখানে তার একটা আভাস বা আমরা হিন্ট পাচ্ছি। So what is this another gift of aspect more sublime? So something that transcends this normal earthly existence and goes to the divine level, sublime level, that blessed mood, একটা blessed mood, একটা মানে blessed state in which the burden of the mystery, burden is actually burden, it is an old spelling which Wordsworth has used. It is used in poems, poetic spelling. Burden of the mystery in which the heavy and the weary weight of this all this unintelligible world. Unintelligible world meaning the mystery, the mysterious world. যে ওয়ার্ল্ডের মানেটা বোঝা খুব কঠিন। Why we are here? What is the purpose of life? So these questions have been asked by many philosophers, many people. Why are we born here? What do we need to do here? And what is the tenure within which we can stay on this earth? And then after some time, when our time is finished, we have to leave this world. So every creature has to go through this process: birth, growth, and death. Now, so Wordsworth is actually referring to this burden of the mystery, the mysterious life that we have here, in which the heavy and the weary weight of all this unintelligible world, heavy and weary weight. So, the weight of living, weight of life, which bears us down. জীবনের যে যন্ত্রণা, যে কষ্ট, যেটা আমাদের জীবনকে আরো বিষাদগ্রস্ত করে তুলছে, সেটাকে আমরা কি করে অতিক্রম করব? Of all this unintelligible world, এর কোনো মানে নেই as such, apparently, is lightened. What happens? It is lightened. The burden is lightened by this beautiful scenery. So it has a therapeutic or medicinal effect. একটা যেন medicinal effect রয়েছে। মনের বিষাদকে বা মনের doubts, the doubts of the mind, the sadness, the melancholy feelings of the mind are dispelled. That serene and blessed mood. Again, there is this dash. So again, the pause and a kind of a reflection. This is a kind of a reflective poem. চিন্তা করছেন উনি 5 বছর আগের আর এখনকার সময় এবং কিভাবে সেই সিনারিটা that has influenced him. He is thinking of that. He is writing about that. কি বলছেন? That serene and blessed mood. Serene means the state of absolute calmness, quiet, a feeling of satisfaction, মানে যেখানে আর কোনো অসন্তোষ বা কিছু নেই, সিরিন একটা অদ্ভুত শান্তি বিরাজ করছে। and blessed mood, blessed, so a state of blessing, কিছু সেই divine blessing some he has got, in which the affections gently lead us on. Affections meaning the feelings and emotions experienced amidst nature, নেচারের মধ্যে থেকে যেটা পাওয়া যাচ্ছে, আমাদের এগিয়ে নিয়ে যাচ্ছে, until the breath of this corporeal frame. Corporeal means the physical frame, and even the motion of our human blood almost suspended. So we are, as it were, moving out of this physical frame. এই যে আমাদের দেহটা এটা খাঁচার মতো, so the soul is there within this cage, the framework, the bone framework of the bone, which is there, the breath of this corporeal frame, and even the motion of our human blood almost suspended. So the breath is almost suspended, যে নিঃশ্বাস প্রশ্বাস আমরা নিচ্ছি প্রতিনিয়ত, এটা যেন সাসপেন্ডেড হয়ে যাচ্ছে, বন্ধ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, এবং the motion of our human blood, the blood that is coursing, that is flowing all throughout our body. Each second, the heart is pumping. If the heart stops, then of course we will die. But it is always working. So the motion of our human blood almost suspended. উনি বলছেন যে এই যে breath, যেটা this is the essence of life, this bloodstream which is carrying oxygen, which is carrying the food and everything throughout our body. These are so important for living. These are suspended. তার মানে একটা অদ্ভুত একটা corporeal existence থেকে বেরিয়ে যাচ্ছে আমরা। We are able to transcend this earthly existence when we move on to this divine existence. In body, sorry, and even the motion of our human blood almost suspended. We are laid asleep in body. So the body, as if the functioning of the body is suspended for some time and become a living soul. So this inner soul that we possess, atta, attar jeno jagoron. So it is a transcendental kind of a feeling or transcendental existence which supersedes the normal physical existence. We can identify ourselves with the living soul. while with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. So he's saying that an eye, that is the vision, the prophetic vision, or the vision that enables us to see beyond this earthly existence, made quiet by the power of harmony. So the harmony that exists in the universe, the music of the souls, which was kind of, a kind of a theory that is found in Greek mythology or Greek philosophy, the music of the spheres, the music of the spheres, the heavenly bodies, as it moves through through space, it is creating an unearthly music. So while with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony, everything is in a kind of a harmonious existence, একটা সুন্দর সামঞ্জস্যপূর্ণ existence রয়েছে, and the deep power of joy we see into the life of things. Deep power of joy, a feeling of joy uh, has kind of entered our hearts, and it is enabling us, it is making us see into the life of things. Life of things meaning we are enabled for a short time to move beyond this earthly existence and look into the kind of a divine existence. We arrive at a divine plane. So it is in a state of, you can say, a dreamlike state or a state of harmony, state of trance, where the poet is transformed, or we ourselves are transformed, and we are able to see things with our inward eye, আমাদের যে দৃষ্টি, মানে inner eye, সেটা that comes into play. So this is the stanza. Here, as you can see, this is a kind of yes, Arman, বলো, কিছু বলবে?
Sir, sorry for the interruption, but sir, we can say that as Kubla Khan experiencing Coleridge experiencing Kubla Khan in his dream, that kind of scenario is also experienced Wordsworth in this poem.
Yes, এটা একটা ট্রান্সেন্ডেন্টাল, হ্যাঁ, কুবলা খান যেমন ওই, as he had said, কোলিন যেটা বলেছিলেন, that he had got this poem in a dream, ওই জায়গায় ফ্র্যাগমেন্ট বলেছিলেন, যে কবিতাটা অনেক বড় ছিল, 200-300 লাইন, কিন্তু উনি যেহেতু লিখতে শুরু করেছিলেন, তখন একজন লোক এসে বিরক্ত করলো, মানে কথা বললো, ওনার সঙ্গে 1-1.5 ঘন্টা ধরে কথা বলার পরে সেই ড্রিমটা চলে গেল, মাত্র only 54 lines he could write. এখানেও খালি ভালোই বলেছো, অ্যাকচুয়ালি দ্য থিং ইজ, এখানে নেচার, ওখানে যেমন একটা সুপার ন্যাচারাল একটা অদ্ভুত এলিমেন্ট, এখানে হচ্ছে নেচারের, ওখানেও আছে ন্যাচারাল এলিমেন্ট, ডিসক্রিপশন, বিউটিফুল ডিসক্রিপশন অফ দ্য সারাউন্ডিং নেচার অ্যান্ড কুবলা খানস প্যালেস, যাই হোক, সামার প্যালেস। এখানে ওয়ার্ডসওয়ার্থ is actually talking about the influence of nature on his mind, on his heart, এবং কিভাবে ওয়ার্ডসওয়ার্থ যেটা বলছেন যে উনি যখন এই 1793-তে এই সিনারিটা দেখেছিলেন বা সেটাকে মানে গ্রহণ করেছিলেন, তারপরে when he came back to the town, এবং এই 5 বছরের যে সুদীর্ঘ সময় ওনাকে মানে এটা থেকে দূরে থাকতে হয়েছে, ওনার অনেক সময় নানাভাবে মনের মধ্যে বিষাদ বা দুঃখ কষ্ট এগুলো ওনার হয়েছে, but he has been able to survive all these things, all these uh, states of sorrow and suffering, with this feeling of sublimity which was created by this scenery, যেটা blessed mood একটা উনি বলছেন, যেটা এই সিনারিটা, এই ওয়াই ভ্যালি বা এই টিন্টার্ন অ্যাবে, it has created an unearthly, a kind of a transcendental, beautiful, sublime imagery which has survived in his mind. এবং সেইটাকে উনি বলছেন যে এটা যেন ওনার দেহের মধ্যে, ওনার ব্লাড স্ট্রিমের মধ্যে, it has entered his bloodstream. It is flowing through his body like the blood flows through the body. It goes to each and every corner of our body. So like that, this feeling of unearthly joy and beauty, it has suffused, it has filled up completely his whole existence. এবং breath of this corporeal frame, এই physical ফ্রেমটা, এটা যেন এটা থেকে যেন উনি he has been able to, he's feeling ecstatic, he's feeling so happy and joyful that he, as if ecstasy মানে কি, মানে যেন শরীর থেকে বেরিয়ে যাবার মতো একটা মানে অদ্ভুত একটা feeling of joy. It cannot be explained clearly. It is something very uh, almost unexplainable. So এটা একটা আধা asleep, laid asleep, and Coleridge, just as he was asleep when he got this poem, Kubla Khan. So we are laid asleep in body. আমাদের শরীরটা ঘুমোচ্ছে, কিন্তু আমাদের সোলটা, our soul is awake. It is living. It is experiencing the joy, the sublime joy and blessing of this, the influence of beautiful influence of nature. So the power of harmony, the harmonious existence, যেটা ওয়ার্ডসওয়ার্থের কবিতার মধ্যে এখানেও আছে, the harmonious existence, the pantheism of Wordsworth, ওয়ার্ডসওয়ার্থের যে recognition of the connection between nature, man and God. So there is this trinity, একটা ত্রিভুজের মতো, একদিকে রয়েছেন গড, একদিকে ম্যান, the human world and the natural world. Everything is connected together. So, and I made quiet by the power of harmony, এই যে harmonious music of the spheres, সেটা যেন pervade, that is pervading his whole existence. এবং এই যে এখানে বলছেন deep power of joy, we see into the life of things, the essence of life, যেটা mysterious life, যেটা যার কোনো মনে হয় আপাত দৃষ্টিতে, যেটা উনি বলছিলেন যে এটার মানে কি, this life, যেটা আর কি it is something that cannot be explained, unintelligible, but with the inner knowledge that is given by this beautiful nature, the feelings aroused when he first came into contact with this beautiful nature, that was something revealing, that was something quite extraordinary. So we see into the life of things, which enables us to move from the corporeal or the physical level into the sublime or the unearthly, to a more divine existence. So this is this stanza যেখানে এই কথাগুলো উনি বলছেন, and as you can see, this feeling of utmost intense joy and calmness, tranquility, that is the word, which sort of transformed him fully. এবং এখানে পরে যেটা বললাম pantheism, that can be found in the later, also in these lines, but also later on in the poem. Wordsworth will recount how he had experienced at first when he was about 23 years old in the year 1793, when he had first visited this Wye Valley. How he had looked upon nature in a different way, but gradually nature had acted as a kind of a teacher or a kind of a, molder. It has molded, nature has molded his mind, and she has sort of given him a sense of calmness and peace of mind, an inner vision, as it were. So এই যে এখানে বলছেন, I made quiet by the power of harmony. So the inner vision has been awakened. So this is uh, the stanza, the meaning of this stanza, and I will stop here today. So I hope that I have been able to explain to you the meaning of this poem and these two stanzas.